Proceed. It's a little bit of difficult, but let's see how we can proceed on Nova Segunda. One, Council, we cannot allocate that signature to any of this. Because there are three names here. Gregory Reyes, Myron Montanak, and Richard Howells. Yes? Where are the signature for any of them? How do we know that now this one on the appendix is for any of these?
Mr. Chairman, Richard Harrow is signed just with his name. It is Richard Harrow. And
where?
The same applies to Montanak. Myron, the signature page.
If it is a signature page, no. After the signature page is even worse. Because it shows no name at all. Because the signature page is this.
Mr. Chairman, can you please go to the next page? The next page after that?
The next page?
Yes, thank you. That one.
This one?
Yes.
Where is the name?
Mr. Chairman, I've just indicated that Richard Harrow signs with his name and Myron Montanak signs with her name. So for me, I can read them.
You can't read the signature. A signature is a signature. Nobody can. You see the problem, we are going to allocate a signature to somebody whose name does not appear there. We are just assuming.
Mr. Chairman, it's not the work of this committee to start allocating signatures. Either it is there or it's not there. Why are you trying to allocate? This is for Yandala, this is for this one. If it's not there, it's not there.
We shall proceed accordingly. Clerk, can you produce all the documents which have been submitted to us and provide each member with a copy? Okay? Yes.
Yeah. Before we even got into those documents, I think the first things we needed to know first. Who is this Nile Acquisition Company? Who are the directors?
No, that's what we are going to now. We are now going to the query. Can you now introduce the responses? Colleagues, go to that Auditor General's report and go to the matrix of Bank of Uganda. Auditor General's report is page 10. Page 10, starting from the top. Yes, sir, may you proceed?
Thank you, Chair, through the Governor. 2.3.2, which is on page 10, is about the sale of customer loans. Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, do you need me to read out the whole?
Yes. Because this is the, if you are doing an exam, that's the question. Go to the answer without reading, so the question doesn't make sense, Mr. Twin. So let's go read the query as it is.
Because the query only comes at the end. Okay. Section 33.5, Part D of the Financial Institutions Statute, 1993 requires the liquidator to sell or transfer assets in order to recover the maximum amount so as to settle claims of an insolvent financial institution. Delayed sale loan assets Bank of Uganda sold majority of the loans for the 3 banks in 2007, despite the banks closing in 1998 and 1999. Details of loans that were sold prior to 2007 were not provided for verification. Mr. Chairman, I think at this point I'd like to present the response to that particular query. Is that prior to 2007, what Bank of Uganda had not sold loans, but Bank of Uganda had transferred assets. If you look at the case of Cooperative Bank, where assets were assigned to the banks that took over the deposit liabilities, and in some cases, the government of Uganda actually paid for some banks to take over the liabilities. So our response is that there were no loan sales, specifically loan sales prior to 2007. A Bank of Uganda management explained that the initial recourse of a liquidator is to try and recover the loans, and a substantial part of the portfolio was recovered. It was only after these efforts had been exhausted that the liquidator made a decision to sell the loans. However, a number of challenges, including protracted legal suits and incumbent collateral, derailed Bank of Uganda from selling off customer loans expeditiously. Sale of loan assets at a discount. In 2006,
let's finish that query, then we'll go to the next. Okay. Colleagues, do you have any questions? Clarification you seek from Bank of Uganda on that query?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. When you look at the response as captured by the Auditor General and the response that we have in their matrix, as they call it, they appear substantially different. Secondly, I need to hear from Bank of Uganda, one, which are those particular legal challenges that stopped them from doing what they were supposed to do, in particular, because there could be a case that relates to some land in Zimbabwe, and how that case would stop the recovery in other areas. To me, the answer given is not satisfactory. But in particular, I think I need Bank of Uganda to address us on the difference between the answer in their matrix and the answer they gave to the Auditor General.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, under 2.32.2 in our metrics, the second part where it says Bank of Uganda sold majority of loans for the 3 banks, despite the banks sold in 99 and 98 in our metrics. If you look at our response right there, it's more or less word for word the same as the response that we have in the Auditor General's report.
I think maybe we are having a difficulty in reconciling the word sale of loans. From what I appreciate, Bank of Uganda is saying there was no sale of loan, but there were recoveries. Is that so?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes? There were recoveries. However, the query much as the Auditor General used the sale of sales, he needed details of the amount recovered between 1998 to 2007.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. I think the problem is the word selling. Because they want to see how much money was recovered and what properties. At that time, maybe was there any property which was sold to recover some money?
No, Mr. Chairman, I think, yes, even when there is use of different words, we need to get to the bottom of understanding where Auditor General is getting the word sold, selling of the loan.
Actually, is here. Can you explain? Yes. So that you all move at the same page.
Thank you, Chair. our interpretation of the our wording there, sale of loans, we referred to the loans recovered through sale of collateral. Sale of collateral. Sale of collateral by Bank of Uganda.
Chairman, I have some bit of experience. I know of situations where banks fail to recover loans. Then they agree with business people in Kampala. They sell the loan itself, not even the collateral. This businessman takes the risk of recovering or not recovering. I mean, that's the Nairobi position. That's the thing I'm understanding here. And now when you see the response by Bank of Uganda, they're talking about recovery and avoiding the word sell. So that's why I wanted Auditor General to tell us where he gets the word sell from and what Bank of Uganda responds by calling recovery. Then they would explain to us the mode of recovery that they're talking about, but let's understand sell first.
Thank you, Chair. This issue has a connection to 2.31 asset movement schedules. And here is the connection. If you receive a schedule from BOU indicating the loans at closure, and you're seeing a column where there's a repayment, you cannot tell, if you don't see who paid, you can't tell whether the loan holder paid up the loan or collateral was sold. But as we are reviewing the documentation that was provided from BOU, we saw sale of collateral. And our interpretation of sale of loans, we are referring to where collateral was sold as a means to recover the loan.
I think, Mr. Chairman, even Bank of Uganda has something explanation to make. When you look at 3.32, they are 2.32. They are failure to provide details of loans sold prior to 2007 for verification by OAG. And their answer now is consistent. No loans were sold prior to 2007 for any of the mentioned banks. So, even Bank of Uganda now comes in consistent to talk of sale of loans, not assets.
Yeah, but I think the point Dr. General is raising, without the movement schedule, you can't know. You can't know of recovery. You can't know. When the Bank of Uganda refers just to recovery, was this payment and you released the securities, where the securities is sold? And if it is so, where is the documentation? That's what I think was raising.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, like has been correctly noted, the query was, and our understanding was the query about the sale of loans. And as been explained, the sale of loans can occur separately to the assets used to secure the said loans. So our response in that case is about the sale of loans. Now, with the clarification provided by the Auditor General, which is about the sale of loan assets, in the documentation that was provided to Auditor General, and which also was shared with you in the red file, there is a detailed annex on recoveries.
Annex what?
B3.
Can I have
B3, C7, and E4.
Can I have Mr. Kabul Annex B3?
Mr. Chairman, those documents which in the red one, That will be under section 4, which is for other documents.
Can I have section? Just get the color of the box file.
It's the red box file.
Can I have my red box file? We have a green file, we have a blue file, we have a red file, and a yellow file. Okay, you with your movement file. Are you talking about PwC?
If you look, yes, there's a summary of recoveries, but the detail backing that summary, you have a whole section that contains all recoveries amounts, names. You have a whole, yes.
This one?
Yes, that's the detail.
Okay, colleagues, can we go to this? You know, what is this document called? These ones.
Mr. Chairman, in your files you have a summary of recoveries. What those documents represent is a breakdown of how this summary is arrived at.
Are you talking about a 334-page document?
Yes, sir. And each bank has one.
Correct. Go to page 1 of this document. Colleagues, go to page 1. I just want to exercise my common sense interpretation of this document. Then the professionals will assist. Are we at page 1? And if you're at page 51, the first item is 4th January 2000. Is it so, Mr. Twine?
Yes, that is correct.
So let us have that entry. What does it refer to as it is from there? It's no use for me to have stationery, which doesn't make sense to me. First entry, 4th January 2000. Let's have that entry. What does it refer to?
Mr. Chairman,
there is a batch.
Yes,
there is a journal.
Yes, journal entry number.
Yes, there is a description.
Yes.
There is a payee, and the payee is not there. There are debits. There is a credit, 4.1 million, and there is a running balance. Who paid? What is the name of the payee?
Now,
and then 2, was this money as a recovery of? What was it about selling the security? What was payment?
These are mainly recoveries. But if you follow through this whole document, sir, because this is a reproduction of the recovery account. For in this case, this particular bank is Cooperative Bank.
If it is a recovery account, doesn't it show the payee? Doesn't it show the nature of recovery?
Yes.
Whether somebody paid the money,
yes, the description,
and therefore you brought it to zero, or whether you sold the property.
Now, the description, Mr. Chairman, the description under batch number goes back, and there's a series of vouchers and documentation attached to each and every one of these entries. Mr. Chairman,
okay, it is true, is that, but as you bring this to me, how do you expect me to interpret this document without that?
Mr. Chairman, this information was already originally provided to the Office of the Auditor General. And from that, what we did to help the committee's work is we provided you with a summary
But you see, this one makes no sense to me as it is here.
But
if you wanted to help me, how does this help me, Mr. Twin?
And Chair, this document relates only to Cooperative Bank.
Yes.
And the summary is indicating
For all. Yes.
So show me under what section of the same file that brings out the breakdown of other banks.
If you look at number 2, that should be ICB. Yes.
Just have your whole file of paper. This is your decision. There's no benefit. Because you see, there is a bad record. That's all.
Overloaded vehicles are a threat to road safety. It will not only put the driver at risk, but also passengers and other road users. An overloaded vehicle is less stable, difficult to steer, and takes longer to stop, but also can lead to a crash. TWEDECO, every life matters.
This message was brought to you by Viva Energy and NTV Uganda.
Your Saturdays just got better. Why go to the Chibanda when you can watch your favorite team? In the comfort of your living room. Catch the English Premier League games live on NTV every Saturday at 5 p.m. Avoid the hassle of boss, Tosa Sudempira Fuluma. Have enough room to celebrate your goal. NTV, turning on your world.
Introducing Always Cotton Soft. Its unique top sheet is as soft as cotton and gentle to your skin while offering you soft and comfortable protection as you go about your day. Always Cotton Soft. Now available from 2,500 shillings only.
On the next episode is brought to you by
Kiri Soda.
Let's celebrate life.
Mental health, especially where men are concerned. Is it a reality or is it something that's just perceived as people having issues?
I remember my sister asking me, Conrad, what's wrong? There were the voices in my head, telling me do not respond.
If you compare men to women, men are more depressed than women, 70% of the time.
Young people now have different challenges. My daughter is in high school, but she'll tell you boys have to make sure he has at least 500,000 on him. He has to impress the girls.
There's a space, and has to be a space where men can be able to admit. Because if we don't, we crack.
Soda in 4 different flavors: lemon, mixed berry, orange, and Kiri Cola. Celebrate life with Kiri Soda.
Let's celebrate life.
First manned mission to land on the moon.
Neil, if this flight is successful, you'll go down in history.
We're planning on the flight being successful.
The entire world's watching.
5, 4. We need to fail down here so we don't fail up there.
3. We've got this under control.
2. You're a bunch of boys. You don't have anything under control.
1. First Man, rated PG-13.
Play and win every 10 minutes. For every 1,000 you spend, it gives you 1 entry into the jackpot this Sunday. To play on MTN, simply dial *165 *33# and follow the prompts on your phone. For Airtel customers, simply dial *185 *4*9#. Then enter business number 33311. Enter the amount you wish to play from 1,000 to 50,000 shillings. Then select your 3 lucky numbers from 0 to 9, followed by NTV as your payment reference, and get that super feeling today.
With our state-of-the-art technology in live broadcasting, we provide you, our clients, seamless and HD quality coverage anytime, anywhere.
I want to thank the organizers who have done great work.
Wherever you are, we will be there. For more information, contact our sales department on 256-414-563-400 or email salesteam@ntv.co.ug.
This is NTV.
Politics bamujje mu security eggwanga lyaffe ligenda kukola ki kufuna obuzibu nze omuntu wa wansi atuula wansi ku ttaka ssebo nze ngenda okuweerera omwana oyo ng'onzimbidde essomero lya kalina
naye ne gavumenti oba eri munkwe etubuzaabuza tekutula eri awo tulaga eno tulaga eno esayidi katale akati abantu ate koona abantu basalinga badde eno nga badde eno emotoka zibakoone awantu atwaga gavumenti etekawo sente wetulaba ambulensi zetuzibira omuntu n'awulira akakombe ka ambulensi ng'ereeta mulwadde n'alemera mu kkubo.
I may call it so. That's why they carried it to the report. If you had provided the details, there is no way they would have carried that query to the report. Because when you provided to Global Trust, and which other bank? Global Trust or whatever it is, even NBC, they never queried it. They were queried because these documentations were not available. And when you forwarded this, reading this as it is, Governor, doesn't make sense unless you go to the original record. That's why I was saying that this is pure stationery to me. It does not make sense to an economist, it does not make sense to an auditor, neither does it make sense to a lawyer, as it is now, unless you've had the opportunity to look at the original documents, because that's where the vouchers or whatever it is are. So to me, colleagues, as it is, just ignore this. What we can only do is to ask the Auditor General to go and do what he should have done if you had provided the documents. Colleagues, that's the way forward. As it is now, it doesn't make sense at all. So, I think my guidance therefore is, Mr. Twin, this particular section is going to be redone by the Auditor General. Okay? But I don't know whether you provide ledgers or whatever it is. Provide all the documentation for him to look through this, and then it can be concluded or resolved one way or the other. Proceed to the next query, please. Yes.
Chair, thank you for an opportunity, Chair. Before we proceed to another query, I have two issues on the same query, Chair. Issue number one is about the incumbent collaterals. When you look at the Auditor General's report, page 10,
page 10 of the Auditor General?
Yes. Just from the explanation by Bank of Uganda, what he has just made for us, the challenges include protecting the legal suits and incumbent collaterals. Chair, I want to find out, how does a bank accept a land title that has an incumbency? That is one. Number two, Chair,
I don't know where are we? Sale of assets?
There is say loan assets, Chair. Then the Bank of Uganda explanation.
No, I think this is the query which we have referred to the Auditor General. So we can only go into it when we have already had them examine this.
Sure, Chair.
You come back to it, really, but let us have the Auditor General go through it, and then we can interrogate it first. We need to do some movement forward. Yes or no? You can't move. Mr. Chairman, you will excuse me. I guided wisely that we stick to what Auditor General wrote and what. But I'm torn between your guidance and my people. They were asking me, who are these 9 people? We are coming to that. We are coming to that. You have not reached there. You have not reached there. We are going to come to it. Okay. Okay, yeah. We are going to exactly, we are now coming to that. Look at the next page. That's where it is. Yeah. Just getting you back to what Honorable Itungu is raising. I think he's just bringing to the attention of Bank of Uganda that I think when they are coming back to answer this, they must come with the details about these protracted legal issues. Who are these? How far have they been? How far have they gone? Where are they now? I think that's what it came short of saying. Sometimes by the time since you are staying it over, they should come with the details. Who are these cases of the protracted legal suits? You have put your points, both colleagues. Bank of Uganda, can you come with protracted legal suits, the details? Okay? And actually those should have been in your matrix, in my view. Actually, if you permit, Mr. Chairman, maybe for their benefit, what happens is that you look at the particular asset in issue. You say, this one we have not been able to liquidate because there is civil suit number this. And you also advise us on those particular assets where there are no suits. So you tell us why that one has also taken long. Have you got that? Have you got that one? Yes, I have, Mr. Chairman. Yes. So don't just bring a list of cases. We need to know, you need a summary of those cases. What are they related to? Evidence, let me assist. Evidence is not a qualified. Evidence is what we would call the case number and the claimant and then the parties. And then the claim. Colleagues, let's move to the second. Let's move to the next. It's answered. Just speak. Just whisper to me. Just speak.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I've been reading through this file, Chair, and there are some documents which I think are important, and I don't see those documents, especially according to Chair, according to the law. When we look at the Section 26 of Financial Institutions Act 1993, Chair. Section 26, Chair.
There are two laws. There is a statute and an act. The act repeals the statute.
So, Chair, let me read what I have. Then, since that is your comfort zone, you can guide us. Chair, according to Section 26, a financial institution shall prepare and cause to be submitted to the central bank an audited balance sheet within 4 months after the end of this financial year. Chair, I want to find out from Bank of Uganda, is there a statement from this bank before its closure so that we can see whether the bank was sound or the bank was not? That is number. Number two, Chair, Section 27 talks about inspection of financial institutions.
We're going to look at that. Colleague, just 1 second, colleague. The question you're asking is very relevant, and the Bank of Uganda will have to answer it. But if we don't handle this query as it is now, we lose out on the issues raised by the Auditor General. So my guidance is let's finish this one, and we shall have all the general questions related to the whole management raised as it is now. But as it is now, Nathan, let them go and proceed on the sale of loan assets at discount. So can I? That's what I'm saying.
Thank you, Chair.
I hope you have noted down the question my colleague has raised. It's because we require an answer.
It's noted.
And there'll be many others coming. I think you had like 3, 4, which you are going to answer. But can you let's move? Sorry? Yeah, even the other questions there. But can we move now to the queries?
Yes, thank you, Chair, through the Governor. Sale of assets at a discount, that's on page 10. In 2006, Bank of Uganda designed a strategy to exit the liquidation of the 3 closed banks, which involved assessment, evaluation, packaging and bulk selling of the remaining assets of the closed banks so that the proceeds can be distributed amongst creditors. Subsequently, Bank of Uganda carried out a competitive procurement process, including public advertisement, evaluation of bidders, and selection of a suitable firm to implement the strategy. According to a letter, reference EDS.122.6a, J.N. Kirkland and Associates was contracted by Bank of Uganda on 17th January 2007 to implement an exit strategy for closed banks liquidation. The assignment commenced on January 29, 2007. I will say assignment, but was expected to be accomplished within 16 weeks, ending May 2007. According to a letter, reference EDS.B.65A, dated 24th May 2007, Kirkland and Associates evaluated the remaining assets of the closed banks and identified a suitable firm. Octavian Advisors LP, which expressed interest to purchase these assets at $10 million from Bank of Uganda. Following further negotiations with Bank of Uganda, MS Octavian Advisors registered Nile River Acquisition Company in order to transact with BOU. In December 2007, Bank of Uganda signed an agreement with Nile River Acquisition Company to sell the debt portfolio of Greenland Bank, ICB, and Cooperative Bank at $5.25 million. Mr. Chairman, those are the documents as I submitted earlier on this morning. The debt portfolio comprised of secured, poorly secured, unsecured, and unknown loans, and I believe unknown here is that the state of the security was unknown, amounting to Uganda shillings 135,054,430,888. This figure is derived from Article 6.7 B in the schedules of the the purchase and transfer agreement that in Appendix B that you have. The details of the loan portfolio are in the table below. The Auditor General observed that the sale of the loans to Nile River Acquisition resulted in a variance of 126,155,694,539. Below the table, the loan portfolio sold included secured loans of 34,568,538,980, which had valid legal or equitable mortgage on the real property and were supported with legal documentation. The Auditor General noted that the contract price of $8,898,million represented 26% of the total secured loan portfolio and 7% of the total loan portfolio, implying that the loans were sold at a discount. the Auditor General avers that he was unable to determine the criteria used by Bank of Uganda in deriving the sale value. Bank of Uganda management explained that estimating the recoverable amount of a closed bank loans portfolio cannot be done with precision because of the uncertainty in the recoverable value and all of the costs related to recovery. It is always true that any buyer, assuming a buyer of loans from a closed bank, will be unwilling to pay the full book value of a portfolio of bad debts. And it is therefore inevitable that these portfolios will always be sold at a discount. So, Mr. Chairman,
yes, what does Bank of Uganda say?
The Bank of Uganda argument is that estimating the recoverable value or amount of the loan portfolio of a closed bank cannot be done with precision, is fraught with uncertainty, especially with the recoverable value and all the costs associated with such recovery. And secondly, we also argue that it is that no buyer of a loan would buy the loan of a closed bank at its full book value, so that invariably there will always be a discount.
Does that answer the query?
Because I believe the query is that there was contract price was 26% of the total secured portfolio, 7% of the total loan portfolio, implying that the loans were sold at a discount. And the Auditor General avers that they were unable to determine the criteria used by Bank of Uganda in deriving the sale value.
And what is the query? You see, Mr. Twinen,
yes.
A query is a query. Don't give general explanations. What we are looking at is the portfolio itself. So just go and answer the query itself. Why did you do the discount? Bring the evidence, bring the minutes. How you sat, you took that decision. Because I imagine this was a decision taken by the bank. How did the bank take this decision? Who took it? And what was the basis of that decision? And go to, 1 second, we need to go slowly. And you need to go to the details of that decision. Is it true, first of all, that, let's go to the figures. Is it true that the whole portfolio was 135 billion?
Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
And to break it down, 66 billion was for Greenland Bank, 47 billion Cooperative Bank, and 21 ICD. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Because we need to see whether we are talking about the same figures.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Is it also correct that how much of it was secured? Is it also true that 34 was secured? With valid land titles? Properly secured, actually. That's the word used.
Okay, it is valid legal or equitable mortgage on
yes,
property.
Properly secured?
Yeah.
Is it also true that what percentage was not properly secured, but it was nonetheless secured?
I don't have the number.
80?
But Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to bring to your attention.
Answer my question first, then you bring to my attention.
Because you have not secured and poorly secured.
They're all there on the table.
Yes, we would have to add the
loan type. Not secured for ICB was 3.9 billion.
Yes. Huh? No, 10 billion, 10.4 billion.
Poorly secured was 8.4 billion.
Yes, sir.
Secured was 1 billion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
You got Cooperative Bank, not secured 14 billion.
14.5 billion.
1.7 billion poorly secured. Secured 24 billion.
Yes.
Secured. There is another one you are calling, which is called unknown.
It is that's the Auditor General's nomenclature.
Yes, but you should have answered it. Whether it is unknown, to use what?
It is securities for which we do not know whether there was ever any loans for which we don't know whether there was any security or not. So we cannot say where they were unsecured or not.
Then it is unknown. So what's the difference between what you are saying and what your judge says?
No, I said that was the Auditor General's.
It's not judgment purpose. Let me go back to the document, Mr. Twitter.
Yes.
Sure, maybe we need a clarification first. Yes, on that one. What is unknown loans?
Yeah, the language in this table is from the report submitted by Kirkland, who was given the contract to implement the exit strategy. This is not our language, it is in the report of Kirkland. Thank you.
And Kirkland was contracted by
the Bank of Uganda.
And you are referring to this as unknown to it is a nomenclature by Auditor General.
I didn't say unknown, I said
just say sorry and proceed.
Sorry, sir.
Correct. Greenland,
I think, Mr. Chairman, not secured.
If you permit. Let's can go through these figures because we might lose out. We might lose out on the figures on our second. So Greenland, unsecured, not secured,
42.
Poorly secured,
8.4 billion.
Secured,
9.5 billion.
Unknown,
5.5 billion.
And in total 66 billion.
Yes.
Okay? Now, go back to the query. Oh, do you have anything to raise before now he goes to answer the query? I think Nathan was first.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted a clarification. This farm, Octavian, is this a foreign farm or a local farm? That is question one. Question number two, from your own words, you are saying the bank identified a suitable farm. How was this farm identified?
Mr. Chairman, if I can provide the response to that.
Yes.
Octavian was a farm, an American farm identified by Kirkland Associates who were contracted by Bank of Uganda. The procurement process related to how Bank of Uganda procured Kirkland Associates to implement the exit strategy will be ably explained by our Director Procurement, who is here. Which one? Mrs. Perim Gas. And then that's relates to how Kirkland Associates was procured by Bank of Uganda.
Mr. Chairman.
Let's finish this one, then you come in. Because there's something which they have referred to another officer.
Thank you, Chair, through the Governor. My name is Peli Mugatsi. I head procurement and disposal at Bank of Uganda.
Just put the microphone near you and please speak through it.
Okay, we received a request from Supervision. They required a provider to implement the exit strategy for the closed banks, already stated, Greenland, ICB, and Cooperative Bank. We advertised the opportunity. We received 7 bids. They were evaluated. We got the best evaluated bidder, who was J.N. Kirkland and Associates. We got all the approvals from Procurement and Disposal Committee, and an award was communicated to the providers. Information was sent to Legal Department, a draft contract reviewed and everything done, and a contract signed between J.N. Kirkland and Associates and Bank of Uganda. Thank you, Chair.
What was Kirkland supposed to be doing?
Implementation of an exit strategy.
Just to tell us what that implementation involves, not just to tell us exit strategy implemented.
Mr. Chairman, through the governor, there were many things in that exit strategy.
I imagine just go to the document itself and say these were the terms of reference for Kirkland.
Now, Mr. Chairman, through the governor, I request that we appreciate that this is some time ago. The procurement and disposal world, we are required to have records for 7 years. However, I have records from the advert, I have approvals of PDC, up to the contract and the entire story.
Mrs. Mugas, what we need is the terms of reference, so that we know what Kirkland was supposed to do to implement that exit strategy.
Even reading the Bible, which was written before Jesus.
Mr. Chairman, if allowed, I could request for input from what in procurement we call the user, who was supervision, who requested, and probably legal. But I want to believe that Mr. Sekavira could have a detail, because he was one of those we handled the tender with.
You see what I don't want this to be Mr. Sekavira business.
No.
I just want this to be the Bank of Uganda business. Sekavira is Sekavira, Sekavira is Sekavira.
You know, Mr. Chairman, the person who did the procurement is the one speaking to us. Yes. We have not even asked her to make reference to the particular clauses in the agreement. But in general terms, to tell us, you procured J.N. Kirkland to implement the exit strategy. How, in terms of particulars? What did you want them to do that you could not do for yourself?
You have it. You have it in the agreement, right?
I just want you people to go to the document, and I imagine there must be a document. At this point.
Yes. I understand these banks were closed under FIS 1993. But the liquidation process continued, and up to now continues under another law. Actually, Financial Institutions Act 2004. When you read section 892G, it provides for a statutory manager, and their functions and roles of a statutory manager, including managing, controlling, and directing the affairs of the bank in question. Now, I wanted to understand who of these is that manager. Yesterday we were talking of one agent who actually said for him was not a liquidator. There was a lot of literature. But now the person under this provision is a statutory manager.
I think what we have to do, let's finish the facts. After we are done with the facts, we go to the law. let's deal with the facts first. Then we start applying the law to the facts. If we start with the law, we might miss it. So let's have the facts. Yes, it's always you also. So let's finish with the facts. Because we want to know Miss Kirkland and Associates were contracted to do what?
Mr. Chairman, through the Governor, the contract signed between J.N. Kirkland and Associates on page 2 states that the specific tasks that the consultant shall perform for the client and the expected deliverables as set out in the client's request for proposal for design and implementation of an exit strategy for closed banks in liquidation and the consultant's bid. The deliverables are the documents, whether on paper, computer disk, electronic or other format, including and without limitation, notes of meetings, correspondences and reports which the consultant shall provide to the client from time to time in accordance with the request for proposal and the consultant's bid or at the client's request. Specifically, the consultant undertakes to prevent the following deliverables in the time frame set out here under unless the client has extended such time frame. A. Commencement date of the consultant shall be the 22nd of January 2007. B. Portfolio database inventory shall be delivered within 6 weeks from the beginning of the consultancy. C. Confidential information memoranda within 10 weeks from the beginning of the consultancy. D. Tender stroke bid document within 13 weeks from the beginning of the consultancy. E. Bid evaluation reports within 17 weeks from the beginning of the consultancy. F. Sales agreements within 18 weeks from the beginning of the consultancy. G. Completed sales reports indicating the collections made within 19 weeks from the beginning of the consultancy. Throughout this consultancy, the consultant shall hold periodic briefings with the client, but in any event, at least once every 4 weeks. Tentatively, the parties have agreed to schedule the periodic briefings for 2nd February 2007, 23rd February 2007, 23rd March 2007, 20th April 2007, and 16th May 2007, and other dates as may be agreed by the parties. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, General. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. In reference to her submission, do we have any reference documents related to those dates that were agreed upon for updates?
Which reference?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll call upon one of my colleagues to help provide answer that particular question. Sir? This one. This one.
First of all, the drafting, I must say, was not all that. It should have been clearer, maybe I may say so. From here, I can only deduce that Kirkland was supposed to provide consultancy services, but also solicit the buyer. Yes? And Kirkland is the one who, first of all, where is the Kirkland report? Actually, reports. we had agreed that all those reports concerning Kakala, and produce them. Can I have the portfolio database inventory?
Did you come with the car plan? But we had advised you to. I think that will be part of the thing that will join us on Wednesday.
Yeah, because some of these questions would ask them directly. And Kirkland was paid 390 million. Confirm? Huh? 392 million. Now we are going to the colleagues. As they bring those, now we go to the substance itself.
Just the quick one, Chair.
Let's have a quick one from Nathan, then we go to the substance now.
Chair, I've not gotten an opportunity to look at the advert, but the procurement person is saying there is an advert.
The Director General has confirmed. That's what
I just want this statement, whether it was captured in the advert. Was the advert capturing this statement that there is sale of loan assets at a discount?
That's the substance we are going to about the discount. Because the query actually is talking about a what? The discount. So that's the query. So, colleagues, can you, back to you, sir, tell us what was the basis of this discount? And we don't want general terms. Who took the decision and where the documentation, where the minutes of that meeting, where you evaluated and said, look here, we have these challenges, these are the options we have, and therefore we are selling a portfolio of 135 billion, we are going to sell it at 8.8 billion.
Mr. Chairman.
And Chair, maybe to add on what you're saying, before you decided to make it to sell the portfolio, did you do evaluation, and can we have evaluation report on that particular portfolio?
Mr. Chairman, the valuation report is what you have as the inventory of loans that were going to be sold. That was part of the work being done by Kaplan Associates.
No. I think these are two different things. There is an inventory of the loans.
Yes.
But, for example, the valuation of the properties was at the time the loans were obtained. Do we have variation of those loans, of the loans and properties at the point of contracting Kirkland? Or did the Kirkland go ahead and value the assets?
Mr. Chairman, before he answers, because these ones go together.
Okay.
And I'm looking at their response. Number one, I want to know why somebody would not buy a loan at the book value, even when it is performing. And why Bank of Uganda would go ahead to insist that, even those must be sold, the person who is paying less. Number two.
The question might be too many, and in the process, because I even don't see them writing down. Maybe the hard disks are okay. But even then, I think they would write them down so that we get answers. But the most important thing, colleagues, when you look at the law, because we are now going to apply the law to the facts, can we have documentations relating to this decision?
Yes, secondly,
Procedure Chairman. Procedure Chairman.
Yes.
Chairperson.
You know, we start with the generals, but I think we have jumped a step to go to specifics before we clear the generals. I think we have not concluded the trail of the movement from Bank of Uganda, Kirkland, Octavian, Nile River, because this may be the genesis of these counts. Can we have that trail explained of that Bank of Uganda, Kirkland, Octavia, Nile? Who are they? How were they? All this trail before we get into the discount, the values, all these things here. I think we have stopped at Kirkland and jumped to now the issues of the discounts. So procedure, I thought, would move that way.
It doesn't stop at Nile River acquisition. There is also another company called Steel.
Yeah. So can you have explanation of all that?
And we will ask more about that seal too.
Mr. Chairman, the question I was raising, which I think is important. Well, my ears, Mr. Chairman, if operational, lead me to the conclusion that you have guided on that.
That's what I thought.
The question is, what is it that prompted Bank of Uganda to lump up all these loans together? Because some banks could have been reckless in the way they handled their loans. Others may not have been. Others were running properly. Some of the loans were running properly. Some of the loans were secured. Others were unsecured. What is it? Where is the wisdom in Bank of Uganda taking the decision of selling them, of lumping them together, and then selling them at once?
But before we, because I don't want oral explanations, Ojan, colleagues, the bank takes decision through formal meetings. You need to have a report. So we have evaluated this portfolio and this is the best way out. And what does the law say? We go again to section 95. And section 95(3) says this. In determining the amount of assets that is likely to be realized from the financial institution's assets, the receiver shall evaluate the alternatives on a present value basis using realistic discount rates. Document the evaluation process and assumptions on which the evaluation is based, including an assumption with regard to interest rates, asset recovery rates, inflation, costs, holding, and other costs, or whatever it is. Sir, give us the documentation of what you have been explaining. How did you arrive at this decision? Who evaluated it? Where are the minutes? And give us the report. Say, this is the meeting, we evaluated this portfolio, this was not recoverable because of ABCD, this was recoverable to this extent, and therefore we are taking this decision. Give us the documentation.
Mr. Chairman, I will now ask the agent of the liquidator of Bank of Uganda at the time to now provide light or shed light on where this information is and to how the decision was arrived at. Mr. Secretary.
Chairman, through the governor, I thought I had received your protection.
Sorry?
I thought I had received your protection earlier. As an individual.
You see, I don't know whether you're getting the point. We have had the loans have been discounted by what percentage? 90 what? Discounted by 93%. So we want to know the basis of that decision. And that basis can only be on a proper evaluation of the portfolio, and we need documentations. Yes, sir.
Chair, through Governor, the documentation is available, except maybe or not all of it has been passed over, but it is available. We have some of it here. The presentations made by Jane Kirkland to the ExCom of the Bank of Uganda is all available. The decisions of ExCom on this matter are all available. So they will be passed over formally.
They have an executive committee of, I think, the executive directors. They are governed. But you see, I don't want you people to continue coming to this room. Please, can you save us this trauma? Maybe you're enjoying it. But for us, yes, we want to do the job, but we want you out of this room. So if you had provided those documents, it would not be, what is this you are providing?
I think, Mr. Chairman, the question is very simple. As you bring the document, who took the decision?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to provide a partial explanation, and I will share this document with you. This is the minutes of the Executive Committee meeting number 379, held on 16th October 2007. But before I get into it, I would like to draw your attention to something about the loan portfolio. It had a total value of 135 billion shillings, but 77 billion shillings of that, 57.2%, was accumulated interest after the bank had closed, or after the banks had closed. I repeat, of the 135 billion portfolio that was made available to for sale, 77 billion, slightly over 57%, was interest accumulated on these loans after the closure of the banks.
Okay, let me ask, what are the losses after you've closed the bank?
You continue, the interest counter keeps on running, and that's why normally for functioning banks, when it gets to 365 days with no payment on a loan, the interest counter is stopped and the bank has to provide in full for the loan.
Okay, now for you what happens?
Because
the loan
keeps accumulating
in perpetuity
ad infinitum, sir.
Oh.
So, Mr. Chairman,
I would like to remind you to read the Mortgage Act, for example. I would like to remind you to read the Registration of Titles Act. I would like to remind you to read the Limitation Act and read all of them together, whether you have got a loan in perpetuity, especially after knowing that the client has defaulted.
Yes, but Mr. Chairman, there is such a thing in banking as penal interest.
Just read those three pieces of registration.
Mr. Chairman, can I provide the...
Yes, sir.
Chair, I was paying attention to this particular query. And if I'm not mistaken, Kirkland identified a suitable firm called Octavian, which actually expressed interest to buy these loans at United States dollars 10 million. The same firm which expressed interest later registered locally as Nile River Acquisition. 7 months after the expression of interest of $10 million, it will end negotiation with Bank of Uganda to procure at $5 million. Before we talk about accumulation of interest, we are talking about the duration of the amount we ought to have bought. So was their registration dependent on the discount?
That's why you see, Chairman, I was asking, can we know who these are? This Octavian, this Nile, this what? It's all surrounded around this.
Actually, Chair, we even need to know who this Kakran is and who identified the Kakran. And no, they don't.
And can the officer correlate what he has said with the report of Auckland that there are bad loans? What can you correlate them so that we can really ask questions clearly?
But also,
colleagues, I don't want to lose out on the query. Yeah, let's move a little bit systematically. If the question has been raised, let Bank of Uganda internalize it, have a response, then we move to the next question. Unless the questions are related and they would require one answer. Because we lose out on progress. And we really must progress on this. Please.
Yes, Chair.
We are on. Yes, it is on.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the Governor. The offer that was presented to Bank of Uganda by Kirkland was from Octavian Advisors. Octavian Advisors, which is a voucher fund in the US, decided to incorporate a special purpose vehicle in Mauritius. That special purpose vehicle was called the Nile River Acquisition. And then they gave them a power of attorney to execute the transaction with Bank of Uganda. Bank of Uganda therefore signed an agreement with the special purpose vehicle, that is Nile River Acquisition. With regard to seed investments, I think our dealings with regard to the execution of the transaction is when we executed the transaction with Nile River Acquisition. Of course, we are aware that they got a local person here to do the business of debt collection in the names of seed investments.
You are aware about it?
Yes, we are.
Who is seed investments? Who is seed investments?
Mr. Chairman, for purposes of documents, I knew that this document would be requested, so I went to the URSB and got the documents of registration for seed investments. I did it on Monday, only yesterday, but one.
Who is seed investments? Colleagues, we are having two parties in between. Octavian, Nile River, then C. So let's try to get from C, because one is an SPC, a special purpose vehicle.
But why get it in Mauritius when you are out in Uganda?
Well, my problem is, okay, we'll look at.
Okay, with regard to who is Seed Investments, it's it is owned by Nanyonga Evelyn, Muliro Peter, and Agatha Kafko.
Are those people known to Bank of Uganda or Bank of Uganda staff?
Yes, they are. One of them is known, Nanyonga Evelyn. And we can leave this here with you, Mr. Chair.
Who is she?
Yeah, but we don't have. I don't know who she is, Mr. Chairman. I just know the person called Nanyonga Evelyn.
The information here is that she's a wife of former staff of Bank of Uganda.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know about that one. Thank you.
Let's have the documents. Let's have the document.
Mr. Chairman, am I still explaining?
Yes, sure.
Okay. The offer of Octavian Advisors was presented to the executive committee that sat on the 16th of October 2007, and the Octavian Advisors indicated to the EXCOM that although they had earlier offered to buy the residual portfolio of closed banks at 10 million, they had now offered to pay 5.25 million. I have a bit of a recollection to how that came about. Although the initial offer was for 10 billion, it was conditional, 10 million US dollars, sorry. It was conditional upon a due diligence on the portfolio. So
the offer was before the due diligence?
The offer was before the due diligence by Octavian. Because at the time of giving the offer, they had not come to bank they indicated they were willing to, at casual glance, they were willing to take it for 10 million, but subject to a due diligence on the portfolio itself.
Did the Bank of Uganda give a power button to Kaplan? Did the Bank of Uganda give any power button?
Mr. Chairman, I haven't understood that question.
Did the Bank of Uganda ever give a power of attorney to any of these companies after selling or on sale?
There was no need for the power of attorney to Kirkland. Kirkland had
what is this power of attorney which
assignment.
you handed over? Have you handed over power of attorney?
Mr. Chairman, the power of attorney is for Greenland Bank in liquidation, ICB in liquidation, Cooperative Bank in liquidation, assigning their rights over the assets to Bank of Uganda to be able to sell.
Okay. So after selling, what happens? Does the loan still run? How the person you sold the loan to, does he continue charging interest?
Mr. Chairman, I need to understand these parties. Cooperative Bank in liquidation, Greenland Bank in liquidation, signing the power of attorney to Bank of Uganda. And who was the liquidator? Because we're talking about a liquidator appointed by Bank of Uganda, signing a power of attorney in favor of Bank of Uganda. We could be advised on the parties unless I do not understand my things perfectly.
Chair.
You see, let me tell you, some of these questions appear innocent, but I would think you need to reflect on that. Because isn't it true that Bank of Uganda gave a power of attorney to Nile River acquisition? Then why are you talking about other things? When I was asking you, did Bank of Uganda ever give power of attorney? And
Mr. Chairman, you said did Bank of Uganda give a power of attorney to Kirkland? And that is the question you asked, and I said there was no need for that power of attorney to Kirkland. The power of attorney was given to the buyer to enable him collect the debt that had been sold.
What power did you give him?
I don't have the power of attorney document with me.
There it is. And before you read, let me tell you why I'm asking you this question. After you had sold this portfolio to this third party, what powers were you donating? Because you've already sold the portfolio. You no longer have proprietary rights.
Okay,
because the only right you donate is that which you have of a property. But once you have sold it, what is this you are giving?
Mr. Chairman, through the governor, after the sale of the portfolio, Nile River indicated to us that they had gotten a problem of following up in the land office and also in courts. And the debtors themselves were challenging them as to what was their power. That's why the power of attorney was executed.
For what? You have no authority over that. Because the power of attorney, literally, is the power you have of a property. You have already sold the property. And thereafter, somebody comes to you because he's having problems, say, give me power. What power did the Bank of Uganda have to donate? And please speak legally.
Mr. Chairman, I can't speak legally. I will only give you a finance perspective.
You see, you don't, in law, you don't give what you don't have. And the reason is why you, colleagues, listen. The reason why, for example, there is that discount of 93% is because somebody is taking over vagaries, the risks. That's why you even discount. But after you've sold, he cannot come to you and say, now give us power. You had no power at all over those properties. Because what happens, did you give these powers in perpetuity? Was the Nile River there for being a banker? I don't know that you get it. Because if you give them powers, actually you are donating your statutory powers. You are actually donating your statutory or proprietary powers, which the statutory powers you can't donate it.
Maybe, Chair.
Unless the law allows you to. Two, you have no proprietary powers at all.
Yeah. Maybe she reads first the powers she gave, because you got given her to read the powers. She has it. Let her read us the powers she gave. Because now you are telling her.
No, I don't think she, let's say Bank of Uganda gave. I think that's better.
So let Bank of Uganda give us the powers they gave from the powers of their attorney.
Let's do that. Please, if you could answer the questions, then Mike will come in.
Mr. Chairman, and through the governor, I'm reading the power of attorney dated 3rd July 2008. Bank of Uganda, being the statutory liquidator of International Credit Bank in liquidation, do hereby appoint MS Nile River Acquisition Company of 4th floor, Les Cascades, whatever building, Edith Cavell Street, Port Louis, Republic of Mauritius, the buyer of the residual loan portfolio of International Credit Bank, to be its true and lawful attorney and in its name and on its behalf to do the following: sign and execute all documents relating to releases of mortgages and caveat in respect of the residual loan portfolio of International Credit Bank in liquidation sold by Bank of Uganda to the buyer thereof, and do all such acts, matters and things that are expedient or necessary for carrying out the powers hereby given. Bank of Uganda hereby undertakes to ratify. Bank of Uganda hereby undertakes to ratify and confirm all and what the said attorney shall do lawfully pursuant to this power of attorney. In witness hereof, signed by the Deputy Governor and witnessed by the Board Secretary, and is registered the document was registered.
Yeah. And sealed? And sealed?
Mr. Chairman, I haven't understood that question on seal.
How does seal get involved in signing and...
Now, we sold to we sold to Nile River Acquisition, and we gave them powers of attorney. They chose to do their business here through seed investments.
Does that mean, Mr. Chairman, Bank of Uganda has no contractual relationship with seed investment?
No.
Okay. That's what I think.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to know why Bank of Uganda accepted this special purpose vehicle to be registered and formed in Mauritius when the work was here. Why didn't they make that special purpose vehicle here, but make it in Mauritius?
Yeah, do that, but we're not going to lose out. We wanted to know who took the decision and the valuation report of the portfolio, the risks involved and so on, and why you had to discount. Can we have those documents?
Okay, with regard to why did Octavian incorporate a special purpose vehicle, that was their decision. And they told us that you signed the agreement with Nile River Acquisition. The other question was, why did we sign
Chair, yeah, just clarification. Chair, can a Ugandan company deal with a company registered in a foreign country without having a local presence? I just wanted that clarification.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Because it looks like by the time the seal came in later, after, if I followed her correctly, that when they were facing challenges, it was not at that time when Bank of Uganda was dealing with the Nile River acquisition.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I want to draw a distinction between a purchase of an asset and doing business in Uganda. And a classic example we have in Uganda is that Standard Chartered Bank purchased UCBL. But for purposes of doing business in Uganda, they incorporated Stanbic Bank. A purchase of an asset, the debt is a financial asset. So even people come here and buy our bonds and treasury bills. But the actual business is being conducted by a Ugandan registered company.
When you gave powers of attorney to Kakla,
you never gave
to River Nile, to Nile River, wasn't it doing business by actually even getting authority to sign a document of release of mortgages, transfers? Wasn't it? It's not a purchase of asset. It is now doing business. It's purchased, but it is now doing business, including releasing mortgages.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to when we gave them those powers, they could have come to Uganda and incorporated a company called Nile Rivers.
No.
They chose to use seal investments.
Let's get the question, Council. I understand when you say this was purely a purchase of an asset and ends there. But you did not end there. You actually enabled them to do business by giving them further powers of actually even actual recoveries. Because that's purely business, no longer an asset sale. It's more than an asset sale because they are collecting, they are releasing, and actually signing transfers.
And special purpose vehicles are formed for particular project.
The obligation to actualize their business operations here was on Nile Rivers. Like I have pointed out the classic example of UCBL. Bank of Uganda did not go ahead to register Stanbic Bank in Uganda. No. Bank of Uganda sold to Standard Chartered Bank in Standard Bank South Africa. Then Standard Bank had to operationalize their business decisions here through a Ugandan entity.
You know why we're asking this question? It has a tax component. That's why we're asking this question. Somebody is here is doing business, big business actually, and there is no tax. Instead, he chose to float the special purpose vehicle in a tax haven place. And the country loses out on taxes.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mike, then I have my two colleagues. We need to move on.
Chairman, thank you. The legal counsel read for us the conditionality that was set out in the agreement between Bank of Uganda and Kirkland. And those activities were carried out and they commenced on the 29th of 2007. Subsequently, Kirkland made an evaluation of the remaining assets. You told us that after Kirkland had identified Octavian advisors, and Octavian was in agreement of an offer of $10 million, my thinking is after considering the evaluation of the assets that had been made by Kirkland. Subsequently, the same Octavian registered Nile River acquisition, which you said now, after evaluating, it gave an offer of $5 million. Does that therefore mean that there are two evaluation reports? One by Kirkland that generated an offer for Octavian, and two, the second one done in 7 months by Nile River to be able to generate an offer of $5 million. I would love to see that report that was made by Nile River acquisition. Number two, is it true, Governor, that there was a Bank of Uganda staff who went to do a due diligence in regard to Octavian Advisors LP? And if so, who could that be? Can that person, maybe, can we get someone to volunteer information?
Can I please? Yes, Governor. May I please ask Mr. Secretary to help us?
Who did the due diligence on Octavian?
Thank you, Chair and to Governor. I was part of the team that did the due diligence on Octavian Advisors, LP.
And what?
The due diligence on Octavian Advisors. I went together with the Jane Kirkland team.
Now that we know who did the due diligence, I wish to ask, at what cost and who incurred the cost? Was it J.N. Kirkland that had been contracted by Bank of Uganda at a fee of 320 million shillings that identified Octavian, or it was the cost now additional to Bank of Uganda?
Chair, through the Governor, to the best of my recollection, all the costs of travel by this team was made by Bank of Uganda fully, and I don't remember Kirkland putting any part of that cost.
Now, during your, first of all, we shall appreciate the report of the due diligence. And at that time, there were negotiations that were held now by Kirkland and for him to agree offer that they gave. I wish therefore to know how it applied to $5.2 million without an additional valuation report. Then finally, Chairman had hinted on this. It is to my knowledge that we have a double taxation agreement with Mauritius. I want to know, for tax purposes, how we gave a treatment in line of the three companies having a relationship.
We start with the due diligence report.
Chair, through Governor, that due diligence was conducted by J.N. Kirkland. I was part of the team, but they wrote the report themselves.
But what were you doing there? You don't work with part of the team. Just 1 second. You had already done a consultant, and the consultant was Kirkland. How did you find yourself on a team of Kirkland?
Chair, through Governor, I don't remember how, but...
Mr. Chairman.
Because Bank of Uganda had already contracted out this, and now one of the staff is formed doing the job of the consultant. It doesn't look tidy.
Mr. Chairman, you know these processes where there is confusion, you find a secabra there. No, for me, it is disturbing that is, even what the governor doesn't understand, it is the secabra who understands. And what the supervisor doesn't understand, he throws to secabra. So, who is secabra in all this, Mr. Chairman?
I think we go back to the query. And the query is, we are trying to see how this portfolio of 132 billion was eventually sold at what? At 8 point something billion.
Yeah.
Wouldn't we, for example, have got a better offer? And when we are talking about due diligence and so on and evaluation reports, said that the people who took the decision took a professional decision. To me, I think that's the crux of the matter.
Okay.
Mr. Katimbo Mugwanya, now that you have about what I'm saying, the question will come to you.
Chair, before you proceed, you know they asked the bank to give you the documents, which the director legal was about to give you those documents.
Let's go back to the decision. We need now those documents. Who did the evaluation? Can we have the evaluation? And then two, we need the due diligence reports.
Mr. Chairman, did you want us to respond to the issue of how the offer moved from 10 to
Give us 5? The reports. Give us the reports.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I wanted to read for you the minutes of EXCO. The minutes will... Do they have them already?
Do you have a report before you go to the minutes? Don't give me what you want. I'll ask what I need. Then later on you can give me what you think I'm lacking. So let us start with the evaluation reports. Do we have evaluation reports or not? And we go back to the Financial Institutions Act. Document of evaluation, assumption on which evaluation is based, including can I have those documents, please?
Program Guide is brought to you. Paint and win with Plascon. Color your world. Program Guide. Paints worth 100,000 shillings, get a scratch card and SMS the code to 7197 for your big chance to win every single day. Paint and win with Plascon. Color your world.
Tonight on NTV.
What is wrong with you, Valeria?
Nothing is wrong.
Did you forget those pills, or was that a trick to get closer to Alessandro?
Or in the guest room?
No. Don't worry, Mr. Mayor. We are quite okay here.